execution saga has started a nationwide discussion, but what's being said can be a little difficult to understand. UATV's Andrew Epperson is live in the studio to clear up some of that confusion so you can be in the know.
Well, that's right, Jacqueline. I know with this whole execution saga, there's just a few confusing things that are going on out there, and we're going to start with some vocabulary. First of all, if you've heard stay of execution, that can mean one of two things in the legal process. When we're just talking about executions, it means the literal stay of the execution. So that means that while the person was supposed to die by lethal injection that date, most of the time, at least some of the time, that doesn't end up happening. This does not mean that they're going to spend the rest of their life in prison. It just means they're going to go back to the Varner unit where they will stay on death row. On a midazolam, that is the first drug used in the executions process. It is a sedative intended to put the prisoner to sleep before the actual lethal drugs are administered. Now, people who are against this say that it doesn't actually work because it's not just used in the executions process, it's also used in surgeries and other medical circumstances. On to the next thing is vecuronium bromide. This is a drug produced by the McKesson Company. If you've kept up with this at all, you know that the McKesson Company has sued the state twice, the Arkansas Department of Corrections twice, for obtaining the drug in a very shady manner in which they said that the drug was going to be used to treat patients. In actuality, they were going to use it to go and execute them. This particular drug is what paralyzes the prisoner before the last potassium chloride is injected to stop their heart. And then we're going to go to the next thing, and it's the Varner unit and the Cummins unit. These are both in Grady, Arkansas, and they are the Arkansas Department of Corrections housing units for death row inmates. Varner unit is where people, all 34 death row inmates are housed. The Cummins unit is where the execution takes place. It's just down the road, probably 2 miles down the road. Now, one thing that's really kind of coming into effect right now is a discussion between what is more cost effective, killing a prisoner or giving them life in prison whenever they're a death row inmate. A lot of people say go ahead and kill them because that would cost less than simply putting them in prison for the rest of their life. Now, that's not always the case. For one death row inmate to stay for a year in the Varner unit, it costs the state about $250,000. Now, if we continue going with that whole process, we can see that it would actually cost more in a short amount of time to kill a prisoner simply because of the litigation and legal processes when we're talking about attorneys and just lawyers in general that the state does have to pay for. Now, over a large period of time, it would actually save money to execute them, but in a short amount of time, that's what happens. Now, we do have a little bit of breaking news on this to finish things up. Stacey Johnson was supposed to be executed tomorrow at 7. That is not going to take place. He received a stay of execution. We talked about that just a second ago after discussions came up about whether or not the DNA testing was correct in his first guilty verdict that he picked up. So we're going to see whether or not Liddell Lee's execution takes place. That will probably be moved up to 7 o'clock tomorrow as well. I hope that you're able to learn something new today, and then maybe you can be in the know. Back to you, Jacqueline.
Thanks, Andrew. The original number of inmates scheduled to be executed in a historic 10-day span was 8. Counting the 2 who are set to die Thursday, that number is now 5. 3 have a stay of execution.